Hello and welcome back to another episode of Novak Nosh. Today, to coin the phrase from the famous Friends episode, I will be making Nestle Toll House cookies. That's Nestle Toll House cookies. I've made this recipe for friends, for a wedding. Everyone loves it. If you follow my directions, there's no way to screw it up, I promise. So what you will need are 2 sticks of unsalted butter. The better quality, the better. 2 eggs, 2 cups worth of chocolate chips, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, brown sugar, and cornstarch, flour, vanilla, cinnamon, and regular sugar. So the kind of butter that I used was Dairy Gold butter. And it is very important that you don't melt it in the microwave. Some people will say it's okay. That's not what I do. I do room temperature, or like today in a pinch, I sat it on top of the dryer for a couple cycles and it worked. Okay, you're going to cream together your sugars and your butter. So 3/4 cup regular white sugar, and then 3/4 cup brown sugar. I use the dark. I just think it tastes better. To me, it has a little bit of a nuttier flavor. Pack it down. Why you pack it down, I'm not sure. Science. Alright. And then you mix. Make sure you're plugged in. Yes, I am. Alright, so I mixed that for about 2-3 minutes or so. You want it to be kind of fluffy in texture, all incorporated. No sugars left out on here. And then I'm going to add my vanilla. Now my recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla, but I love vanilla. So I do like almost a tablespoon. Got it. Alright, to my 2 1/4 cup flour mixture, I'm going to add about 1/2 a teaspoon of cinnamon. I always dump out my salt and my baking soda on a separate plate. That way I don't put too much in my dry ingredients. You always want to mix your dry ingredients from your wet ingredients. Do not mix until the very end. So now my 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Try not to make a mess. Get out any clumps. Okay. And then my 1 teaspoon salt. Okay. And this is a Novak Nosh family secret. I add 1 teaspoon cornstarch. Egg cracking time, 1 at a time. Some people crack their eggs in a separate bowl in case there's any kind of eggshell, but I just throw caution to the wind. Hope for the best. And while I'm washing my hands and having so much fun, I never let the water run. No, I never let the water run. I just had to teach Derek about the word increment. Alright, a little bit at a time. Add your dry to your wet ingredients. A couple or 3 tables. Well, this is not a tablespoon. This is a large spoon. a few spoonfuls at a time. Alright, so the recipe calls for 2 cups of chocolate chips. As for me and my household, we serve the Lord, amen, so we use the whole thing. And just to add a little something extra, because the recipe does say that you can add, I believe, 1/2 cup chopped nuts, I'm just going to add a few Reese's Pieces. About half the bag. Give it a stir. So your batter is done. So what I like to do is put on some saran wrap, wrap it around tightly, put it in the fridge for at least a couple hours, just to kind of chill the dough a little bit. But for the sake of YouTube, I'm going to cook a couple now so you can see how they turn out. I'm not doing the song anymore. So you're going to set your oven at 350 degrees. And I'm going to put it in for 8 minutes because my oven's kind of hot. And it's always best to go less than the time that they suggest rather than more, because you don't want burnt cookies. That's no fun.
A few questions for the fans, Carissa. What is the worst smelling place you've been?
Well, I would say Walmart, because one time my dog found a skunk and I had to go to Walmart to buy cans of tomato soup, and we literally, by we I mean Derek and I, when we went to the store, we broke their air conditioning system. It was a really hot summer and all the staff were talking about, oh, what's that smell? I think there's a skunk trapped in our blah blah blah, and the air wasn't moving, and when it was, it smelled really bad of skunk, and it was really embarrassing.
Stinky dog! Stinky! What is the most useless talent you have?
So if I put water in my mouth, then I can shoot water like a little fountain out through my 2 front teeth, and it looks really funny. But that's not useless. I'll use that somewhere, sometime, I'm sure.
What is the biggest screw-up you've had in the kitchen?
I've blended something in a Ninja blender and not put the lid on. That was fun. Okay, so my cookies are done. They were in the oven for about 14 minutes. It really also depends on how much dough you put on your cookie sheet. You can get like a small ice cream scoop and scoop it out that way and measure it so it's all the perfect size. I tend to just roll it out by hand. So the bigger the cookies are, obviously the longer they'll take to cook. But if they're smaller, start them out at 8 and go from there. Here we are at the end of the video. I want to thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget your milk. Bye.